Tonight, the president ups the ante. More threats to his political foes, aiming to revoke their access to government secrets, as more are hitting back against the president. Some now saying his real target could be the Russia investigation. Is Robert Mueller next, and would that mean an end to the Russia probe? Grisly details emerging from that Colorado family murder. The bodies of the two young girls found alongside their mother today. Police say the father did it, but why? It could have been much worse. A teenager from Washington State now charged for pushing her friend off a 60-foot bridge. Government money pit. Allegations of rampant mismanagement as the most expensive VA hospital ever opens in Colorado. A $2 billion cost to taxpayers.
They should be outraged that this kind of money is being spent because of the incompetency of the VA.
Our exclusive investigation.
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Good evening, everyone. President Trump tonight appears to be relishing his power to take away security clearances from his critics. The president today defending his move to take the access of ex-CIA Director John Brennan, suggesting Brennan won't be the last. But tonight, more than 60 former senior intelligence officials are telling the president to bring it on, as concerns bubble over whether Robert Mueller is the real target. Our Kristen Welker has details.
Tonight, the president raising the stakes as he threatens to strip more security clearances. Some intelligence officials now saying their biggest concern, special counsel Robert Mueller could be next. Former CIA Deputy Director David Cohen.
I think what the president is doing in part is sending a menacing signal to the prosecutors and the investigators on the Mueller team that if they continue their investigation, that their security clearance, which they need in order to do their job, is being put in jeopardy.
If Mueller or his team were to lose their clearances, it would mean an effective end to the special counsel's investigation into Russian meddling in the U.S. election. Tonight, Cohen and more than a dozen former senior intelligence officials released a joint statement blasting the president for the clearance crackdown, accusing him of trying to stifle free speech.
I would tell the president to back off from this effort to use the security clearance process as a political tool. It's inappropriate, it harms our national security, and it's unworthy of the presidency.
The White House not commenting on whether Mueller could lose his clearance. For his part, President Trump lashed out at the Russia probe, unleashing a familiar line of attack.
That whole situation is a rigged witch hunt. It's a totally rigged deal.
Calling on Mueller to write a report now.
Sadly, Mr. Mueller is conflicted, but let him write his report. We did nothing. There's no collusion.
And late tonight, another blistering rebuke. 60 former high-ranking CIA officials signing their own letter in protest of the president's removal of John Brennan's security clearance and his threats of more to come, saying the country could be weakened in the end. Lester.
All right, Kristen Welker, thank you. A jury in the Paul Manafort trial concluded a second day of deliberations with no verdict. They're weighing an 18-count indictment against the former Trump campaign chairman. It includes accusations of tax and bank fraud. The judge in the case says he's received personal threats and today announced that he would not release the names of jurors for safety reasons. Now let's turn to Colorado, where we're learning more about the husband and father who police say murdered his wife and children in a case that has gripped the nation. The horrific turn of events outside Denver has left investigators searching for a motive. NBC News national correspondent Miguel Almaguer has the latest.
We're going to make sugar cookies.
Police now believe they have found the bodies of 3-year-old Celeste and 4-year-old Bella. Investigators say their remains were discovered near their mothers, Shanann Watts. Local media citing several high-ranking sources reporting the girls were found inside oil and gas tanks on the property where their father Chris Watts worked, perhaps to hide them or disguise the scent.
My daddy is a hero.
Police say Watts murdered his family and told the world they were missing.
I just want them home so bad.
Before his arrest, Watts stayed with the Thayers, close family friends.
We thought we knew him, and obviously we didn't.
While most knew the Watts as a happy couple expecting their third child,
Mommy has a baby in her belly.
the Thayers say Shanann suspected infidelity. Court documents also show the pair filed for bankruptcy.
Investigators are going to know whether or not he had a girlfriend, how deep financial trouble he was in, whether he wanted to be alone and being a parent was just too much for him.
After pleading for the public's help, Watts said little in court. Our Denver affiliate reporting he confessed to the crime.
Come give me hugs.
Those girls, they had the laughs of angels and they had the hearts of angels.
3 lives, police say, taken away by the man who was supposed to protect them.
Here at the family home where police say Chris Watts killed his wife and 2 young children, an official cause of death has not yet been released. Later on tonight here, there'll be a vigil for the victims. Meantime, the suspect will face formal charges next week. Lester.
It is just horribly sad. Miguel, thank you. Tonight, the young woman who pushed her 16-year-old friend off a bridge in Washington state now faces criminal charges. This is NBC News has obtained new exclusive video of the moments leading up to the horrific incident. Our Joe Fryer has the latest.
3, no, I won't go in. 2. It's a stunning moment caught on camera. 16-year-old Jordan Holgerson pushed off a Washington state bridge into the river below. Just moments before, Holgerson appeared scared. She says she initially planned to jump but had second thoughts. 2, 1, go. Go. Wait, just go? Just go. Off camera, her friend, 18-year-old Taylor Smith, repeatedly urged her to go. Jordan, I'm gonna push you. No. Then came this.
Well, she's saying no.
No, I just...
Ready? Oh, that's so...
Holgerson landed chest first in the water, suffering 6 broken ribs and punctured lungs. Today, Smith was charged with reckless endangerment, a gross misdemeanor. Prosecutors say it is clear that Taylor Smith engaged in conduct which created a substantial risk of death and resulted in serious physical injury.
I'm not too happy with Taylor's charge. I just don't feel like reckless endangerment. I don't think that was enough.
Smith told NBC News she never intended to hurt her friend. The bridge is a popular destination despite signs that say no jumping. In all, from top to bottom, jumpers plunge about 60 feet. The goal, they say, is to enter the water feet first. But if you hit the water wrong, doctors say it can be like landing on concrete. As for Holgerson, doctors say she is lucky to be alive. Joe Fryer, NBC News, Yakult, Washington.
The story continues tomorrow on Today when Jordan Holgerson, the young girl who was pushed, joins our team for a live interview. Moving overseas, the growing tensions between the U.S. and Turkey over an American pastor under house arrest after the Turkish government leveled charges that he supports terrorism. President Trump today calling those charges phony, demanding the pastor's release and threatening more U.S. sanctions if it doesn't happen. Chief Foreign Correspondent Richard Engel is in Turkey for us tonight with more.
Tonight, an American pastor is still under house arrest. A Turkish court refusing to toss out terrorism charges against Andrew Brunson. President Trump, after imposing sanctions last week, today threatening more punishment unless Turkey lets the pastor go.
They have a wonderful Christian pastor. He's a wonderful man, Pastor Brunson. They made up this phony charge. We are not going to take it sitting down. They can't take our people.
But Turkey's strongman president Tayyip Erdogan is digging in his heels, calling for a boycott of American goods. Like iPhones. His supporters going further, smashing them in the streets, burning dollars. But the Turkish economy is taking the biggest hit.
The local currency is tanking, and now prices are going up fast. These eggs cost about 20% more than they did a week ago. These bottles of water have doubled in price. And there have been similar increases on just about everything.
Customers aren't coming, complains his shopkeeper. Turkey accuses the pastor of supporting an attempted coup to overthrow Erdogan 2 years ago. Brunson and the Trump administration say the charges are baseless.
Many people here blame both President Trump and Erdogan as two stubborn men in a fight that's triggered this country's worst economic crisis in nearly 20 years. Lester?
Richard Engel tonight. Thank you, Richard. Last night we told you about one of the nation's top medical schools now offering free tuition to its students. New York University says the decision is a moral imperative and hopes other med schools will follow suit. Tonight, NBC's Ann Thompson takes a look at the impact it could have on the future of medicine.
It was a first day of school unlike any other. Cheers and tears learning New York University will offer free tuition to all its medical students, regardless of merit or need. Dr. Stephen Abramson is a vice dean. Is this a game changer?
I think it is. I think we're going to change the way medical schools deal with tuition, and we change the profile of the doctors that go into medicine.
Making the field more diverse by eliminating the $55,000 a year tuition. A huge relief for Ariana Winchester.
Walking around every day with 6 figures of debt is incredibly scary.
That's what most med students face after typically 4 years of study. The Association of American Medical Colleges says 72% of this year's class graduated in the red, with a median debt of $195,000. By reshaping students' balance sheets, NYU hopes to reshape the profession.
We will open up areas of medicine that students, because of the debt, may not be entering.
Such as?
The most important is primary care, pediatrics, the so-called lower-paying specialties.
Winchester's always been interested in medicine. Her mom taught American Sign Language. Her dad is deaf.
So I grew up using American Sign Language just alongside with English, and deaf culture was always a really big part of my life.
Now she can focus on giving back by becoming a pediatric ear, nose, and throat specialist without worrying about the cost. Ann Thompson, NBC News, New York.
Now to a budget-blowing hospital. We turn now to a project that cost taxpayers nearly $2 billion. The VA opening its most expensive medical center yet. But as NBC's Gabe Gutierrez reports, the project was massively over budget and missing a key facility for veterans with PTSD.
This is the VA's new medical center, just east of Denver, a sprawling complex.
We're in the concourse at close to the northern end.
Director Sally Hauser-Hanfelder showed it to us before it opened. How many buildings? How big is it?
There's 12 buildings in all.
Army pilot David Ortiz was paralyzed from the waist down after his helicopter crash in Afghanistan in 2012. Most impressive to him,
that's outstanding,
a new spinal cord unit with sliding doors and specially configured bathrooms. What'd you think?
To be honest, I was pretty blown away.
But the project's history has been troubled, to say the least. There are 170 medical centers in the VA system. Almost a decade after the groundbreaking for this facility, double the size of the old one. Its ballooning costs have made it the most expensive ever. Design, construction, and management issues blew up the budget from $328 million in the initial prospectus in 2004 to almost $2 billion as of today. Its opening delayed repeatedly.
To some, that might sound a little outrageous. What would you say?
Worse, the new center is missing a PTSD facility it was supposed to have. So the VA is keeping the old medical center open too, for now.
How did that happen?
You know, I wasn't here for the planning process or anything, so I can go back 2.5 years. I think for anything else, you'll need to talk to headquarters.
But the VA in Washington only provided a written statement saying no one is defending the problems. The VA has taken responsibility for those and learned from them. Government documents reveal blatant mismanagement, showing the VA gave the contractor incomplete designs and never came close to one that could be built for the budgeted amount.
It broke my heart.
Judy Guy was the project's coordinator in Denver for 12 years. She blames VA construction officials in Washington and says cost information was kept from her and her team.
The money broke this project. And people who were trying to avoid blame broke this project.
Now retired, she's speaking publicly for the first time.
Taxpayers should be outraged. They should be outraged that this kind of money is being spent because of the incompetency of the VA.
Who dropped the ball here?
Well, I think the Veterans Administration did. The fact is that they misled the Congress.
Colorado Congressman Mike Kaufman, a Marine veteran, pushed for the Army Corps of Engineers to take over and finish the project.
Taxpayers ought to be outraged that those responsible were never held accountable.
Now, some $2 billion later, its official opening is bittersweet. Gabe Gutierrez, NBC News, Aurora, Colorado.
We're going to take a short break. When we come back, beachgoers beware. We'll dive into the fears versus the facts of those dreaded shark attacks. Also caught on camera, the dramatic moment when police rescued a young girl trapped inside a hot car. There's still several weeks of summer left, which means more time for families to flock to the beach. But with some recent shark scares along the shore, NBC's Matt Bradley confronts our fears with facts.
Oh my God! A horrifying reality this summer. Shark scares are haunting American beaches. The beach on Cape Cod where a shark bit a 61-year-old man on Wednesday, still closed, and 2 other beaches were emptied after shark sightings this week. Even in places where a fin hasn't been seen, it's enough to keep swimmers on shore.
It makes you want to stay out of the water a little bit more.
But are those fears founded in fact?
They really want nothing to do with us. You know, we're not big blubbery seals that taste good.
Experts say the shark's reputation as a man-eater may be more cinema than science, tainted by blockbusters like Jaws, a film that nearly emptied beaches in the summer of '75.
You're going to need a bigger boat.
And sparked a surge in shark hunting. But you're more likely to die from heart disease, drowning, even lightning strikes. Your chances of dying from a shark attack? About 1 in 3 million.
I'm sure many more people die driving to the beach.
But facts won't change a mythical fear.
I'm kind of just always concerned.
Sharks may always haunt the shallow waters of our imagination.
In addition to that attack off Cape Cod this week, 2 children were bitten not far from here on Fire Island just last month. So while terror lurks in these waters, the beach today was pretty packed. Lester?
All right, Matt Bradley. Matt, thanks. We're back in a moment with the high school team's extraordinary run. Will they keep their 70-game winning streak alive? There is some dramatic new video of the moment a hero police officer races to save a 3-year-old girl who'd been left inside a hot car in Florida back in June. The video shows Deputy Bill Dunn rushing the unconscious toddler to his car. He then blasts the air conditioning before bringing her to the hospital. A 33-year-old woman has been charged with child neglect. The little girl has since made a full recovery and was reunited with the officer who saved her life. High school football season is set to kick off, and in Wisconsin tonight, all eyes are on the Kimberly Papermakers, hoping to make their incredible 70-game winning streak alive. The team has 5 consecutive state championships. They've not lost a game in 6 years. But while that's a state record, the team is still well short of a national record of 151 straight wins set by De La Salle High School in Concord, California. We appreciate you spending part of your evening with us. That is Nightly News for this Friday night. I'm Lester Holt. For all of us at NBC News, thank you for watching, and good night. Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.